federal court here in Lower Manhattan, Southern District of New York. And I was in court today for the trial of Sean Diddy Combs, and very dramatic day in court, raising a lot of questions, very powerful testimony by his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. She took the stand. She's about at least 8 months pregnant, got up there on the stand and started to detail very calmly, very methodically, without any malice in her voice and without any kind of snide undertones that some people might have expected to hear from her. She detailed the beginning of her relationship with Sean Combs, which was when she was 19. She first met him. She was looking forward to having a recording career with him. She actually signed a 10-album deal with Bad Boy Records, his label, and she thought she was on her way to stardom at that point. Instead, what evolved was a personal relationship where he came on to her. She got involved with him personally, and then soon after they were intimate, she says these freak-offs began. And we've heard a lot of talk in the media about what these freak-offs are, but I want to explain it to you, and it might be a little disturbing and triggering for some people, so I'm just giving you that in advance, but I'll try to be as delicate about it but as accurate as possible. So basically what would happen with these freak-offs, the first one happened in New York City, and basically there would be a man who would be hired. In this first case, it was a male stripper who also worked as an escort. The male stripper would have, or escort, would have sex with Cassie while Combs was in the room in the corner. Now, the first time that they did it, she said that Combs was wearing a white bathrobe, he had a baseball hat on, he had a red bandana covering the lower part of his face, and that he was sitting there in the corner because he didn't want the escort apparently to see who he was. Cassie was dressed in red lingerie. She had red platform pumps, like stripper type of shoes. She was wearing a red wig and sunglasses because she didn't want the escort to, to walk away or to identify her until they knew that this person would keep their secrets with them. So they proceeded to have sex. She proceeded to have sex with him. Combs, all the while, sitting back and giving directions as to what should happen. So he first instructed them to massage each other with baby oil. She later testified today, this afternoon, that there were about 10 large bottles of baby oil that were used in every one of these freak-offs, which would last anywhere from 1 to 4 days. And usually the participants would be Cassie, a male sex worker, having sex with her, somebody that she was told to hire. She would do the actual bookings from these escort platforms and escort apps and escort websites, and she would be the one that would actually hire the escort to come in there. And then depending upon whether or not he liked the performance, Combs would pay the escort anywhere from $150, but if it went on for multiple days, the escort would be paid up to about $6,000 or $7,000 in cash. So she said that these started off, and why would she do something like that? She said she was young and naive. That's a question a lot of people were asking. The prosecutor asked her that directly. Why would you do this? And she said, because I was young and naive and I wanted to make him happy, and I knew that this made him happy. But she said over time, and now we're talking about years, they were doing these freak-offs in a lot of different places, New York, Los Angeles, Miami, Las Vegas, and there got to be a handful of these male sex workers that were the ones who were their favorites and who they trusted. So she said that it became more and more degrading. There were degrading things done to her. She said that the baby oil, Combs insisted that their bodies always be glistening, and to keep this glisten going, they had to heat up the baby oil. They would run it under hot water so that the baby oil would be warm when they put it on their bodies. She said freak-off supplies included lots of candles, the baby oil, of course, and then special outfits for her, these very sexy lingerie outfits, stripper-type outfits, which she would purchase at Pleasure Chest in Los Angeles or the Hustler store there. And then she described how the relationship devolved, and that her music career was not going anywhere, to endure the humiliation, which was her word, of these freak-offs, which you can imagine, and the dehumanization of them. She had to take drugs, she said, in order to just get through it and to be able to get through it, because if she didn't get through it, she feared what would happen. What would happen was a beating from Combs, according to her, and she outlined some of the injuries that she sustained when he was displeased with her, busted eyes, black eyes, swollen lip, a broken lip, cuts on her lip, and a lot of hits to her head. And he seemed fond of one thing that we saw in that horrific video from the Intercontinental Hotel in LA with the beating was dragging her by her hair into different places. And so a lot of times he would watch, he would direct every move, he would tell the escort what he wanted him to do to Cassie, he would tell Cassie what to do, he would tell them, oh, you need more baby oil, and then they would have to do that. So there was a lot of direction constantly from Combs, which of course is very key to the case that the prosecutors are trying to bring, because according to the legal experts that I've talked to are very familiar with federal law and actually have tried cases in these courtrooms here at federal court. They say they have to prove for the trafficking, for the RICO part of it, they have to prove that there was coercion, that she was forced into doing this. Because one of the big questions that a lot of people had when we first started to learn details about this case was, if she was coerced, if she was forced, why did she stay with him for so long? And she said she was, she was actually in love with him, that when he was nice, he was charming, and of course he was also, at the time that she was with him, he was at the height of his career. Basically, I mean, he had the Sean John clothing line going, Revolt TV was starting, he was hosting the MTV Video Music Awards, there were a lot of big things, he was getting Grammy nominations, there was a lot going on for him career-wise, he was being hugely successful, even a Broadway appearance, and then of course running the New York City Marathon to raise money for education in under-resourced communities. So she was meeting, she was involved with him at this very, very prominent time in his life where a lot was going on and a lot of attention was on him, and it seemed as if he could do no wrong. Of course, now we found out that was an image, and now we're finding out more about what the reality is for her. Now, while she was on the stand, as I said, she's estimated to be like 8 or 8.5 months pregnant. She was rubbing her stomach, rubbing her belly the way pregnant women do, or they just touch their stomach when you just touch your stomach when you're pregnant, and just kind of like to feel that heartbeat or feel that movement of that baby that you're carrying. And so she was doing that. A couple of times during the testimony, she reached for tissues because she was getting emotional. Tears were coming to her eye. At one point, she really did get choked up and had to stop for a moment or two, but the prosecutor kept on relentlessly. And then also, she was asked to describe her daily life. Her daily life was basically being all centered around Combs and around making him happy and doing whatever he wanted her to do so that he would not hit her, would not beat her up, or would not punish her. This was the term that she used, this word punishing. And that when he was upset with her, Combs or his bodyguards would take her phones away, take her phone away, take her laptop away, so that she couldn't communicate or do anything. And that he insisted that she be the one to actually book these male escorts. So on all of the transactions, it's her credit card, it's her, her name. She's the one that's actually booking this. But another key piece of the case kind of emerged today of how the prosecution is going to weave this story of racketeering, sex trafficking, transportation across state lines for prostitution. They're basically laying the groundwork for this sweeping RICO case that if Combs is found guilty, he could spend the rest of his life behind bars. He's currently 55 years old. And then what is happening was, she said that his three bodyguards, there were 3 or 4 main bodyguards that were always with him, driving her, that would do whatever he wanted them to do. She testified about how one time he put a gun in her purse because they were going into downtown LA for an event that she was hosting, and she felt very nervous about that. She testified about these bodyguards basically doing whatever he asked them to do. And then also there were these assistants. One assistant, she said, would take care of the money, would give her money, and that by a certain period of time, after that first year with him, he was controlling, he or his business, his employees of Bad Boy Worldwide were actually controlling every single aspect of her life. So I have to give her credit for maintaining her composure throughout, because she's looking across that courtroom. Combs is feet away from her at the table with the defense. His 6 oldest kids, not Baby Love, because Baby Love's too little, but his 6 oldest kids are there in the courtroom. His mother is in the courtroom. There's some Combs supporters who are there. A lot of media from all over the world. She maintained her composure. She maintained her dignity, but she stayed very factual and almost in some cases matter of fact, describing how these things were going. And she said he really had a thing for baby oil. At one point, He had a pop-up pool, like a little pop-up kiddie pool set up in one of the hotels, and had it filled with baby oil, which he wanted her to go into in her heels and in her clothes, which is just unthinkable, some of these things that were going on. But the abuse, the degradation, putting body fluids in her mouth and that type of thing, him and the male escort on various occasions. And she said she reached a certain point where she felt really, really worthless. And that was just so very sad, because you got a sense of just this extreme fatigue she must have felt, this powerlessness, and just this tremendous just almost prison, and it's ironic because at the time that they were together, when they emerged as a public couple, it looked very glamorous. She's a stunningly gorgeous woman. He was always dressed to the nines and had all kinds of jewelry. We'd see them on red carpets. We'd see them at these A-list events. And then behind closed doors, it was basically a living hell for her and a real nightmare. But that's the latest here. The family just left the courtroom a short time ago, so the media crowd here is pretty much thinned out. I have a couple more assignments I have to do for Fox 5 News here in New York, which you can watch anywhere in the United States on the Fox Local New York app on your phone. I would suggest you get it, because you can see all our stuff live. You can see my Street Soldier shows on Friday night. Please follow me on Instagram, Lisa Evers Blue Check Official, X Lisa Evers Blue Check Official, and on TikTok, Lisa Evers Live. So have a great day. That's the latest here from federal court. I'm Lisa Evers reporting for Fox 5 News, and we'll be keeping you posted throughout this whole thing. Take care.